And before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and insert my own plug. I'm giving away two $20 PlayStation Network cards for you to buy anything from the PlayStation Store. The rules are extremely simple. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel if you're gaming, give this video a like, comment down whatever you would like, honestly it doesn't even matter. And fourth, follow me on my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat, where I'll announce the winners there. So 2 uploads in a week, like I can't recall last time that this happened. So I figured let's go ahead and keep the grind going. And if we get at least 250 likes, I can guarantee you another video by the end of this week. So before Sunday 9 p.m. or something like that. Just the more likes, the more videos essentially. In today's top 10 series, we will look at the best-selling PlayStation 1 games of all time. The sales are approximate and are considered worldwide, and this is not including any digital re-release. But we're definitely doing a major throwback Thursday, paying an ode to the console that really introduced me to gaming. Shout out to Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, but PlayStation 1 takes a cake for me. At number 10, we have Metal Gear Solid, selling approximately 6 million copies. Starting off the list is the original game from Konami and quite easily the most recognizable series in gaming. It's from the same people that also brought you the iconic alarm sound that you see in a lot of memes. Yeah, it's those guys. Metal Gear Solid is an action-adventure overhead 2D and 3D stealth game that was released back in 1998. So 20 years ago, dude, that's crazy. Story begins in the year 2005, you know, when MySpace was popping. So when I was saying I was doing a major throwback, I was not playing around. During a training mission in late February off a remote island off the coast of Alaska that contained nuclear weapons, Foxhound and the Next Generation Special Forces rebelled against the United States government that was under the lead of Liquid Snake. Their main target was to obtain an advanced weapon system known as Metal Gear Rex, a gigantic robot weapon platform that also has nuclear capabilities, so you know, something you would not want a bad person to have. So their demand in return was having the greatest soldier ever lived, Big Boss, that could easily create an army of ultimate soldiers. So the Metal Gear Solid was always conflicted with warfare. It's probably not a place you want to live. The gameplay consists of navigating the universe as the main protagonist Solid Snake, meeting new characters, meeting new friends and new foes, and ultimately using stealth to really advance in these missions. It's a critically acclaimed game and a huge franchise for a lot of gamers. So Metal Gear Solid, congrats on the 6 million. At number 9, we have Driver, selling around 6.27 million copies. The game begins with the story of John Tanner, an NYPD detective going undercover to infiltrate an organized crime where he wants to impress his bosses. He does this by taking on difficult driving missions where you see yourself smashing into cars, going into restaurants, delivering stolen goods, cars, and scaring away taxi customers. So just another day in New York, to be honest. You first start in Miami as a getaway driver for a bank robbery. After that goes well, you drive a stolen car and get more spooky by helping out a gangster carry out an assassination. But like a good story, there needs to be a turn of events, as the person ends up double-crossing you for the stolen briefcase, where it gets quite messy. You end up going to San Francisco because that's where an Italian man named Castelli owes you more than an apology, where he's the head of the whole operation essentially. Afterwards, the game takes place in LA, and then you do some missions there, and then afterwards you go to New York, where you're pursuing the head of operations to get payback, but that's not without saying the risk you're taking with the lack of high quality compensation. Quite sad. The game is also available on the App Store, so if you don't have a PlayStation 1, well, now you can play it. At number 8, we have Crash Bandicoot, selling approximately 6.82 million copies worldwide. One of my favorite franchises in the PlayStation, one of my favorite mascots as well, Crash Bandicoot makes an extraordinary entrance to the PlayStation platform. If you've never played a Crash game, you essentially play the main protagonist, Crash Bandicoot, a goofy orange Bandicoot which looks even goofy in real life. Just look at him, so goofy looking. The main antagonist is Dr. Neo Cortex, a mad scientist who is ridiculed by the scientist community for his over-the-top theories. Wanting to prove them wrong, pretty much becomes the evil guy in the game, creating an army of super animals to take over the world, just like pretty much every other supervillain. In order to complete his tasks, he gets his good buddy Dr. Nitrous to create a fully functional Evolve Ray machine capable of increasing intelligence in animals. The main objective is to go through different stages all set in the Wampa Islands. Fictional islands are owned by Dr. Cortex, where he'll go through these different stages by jumping on top of enemies, spinning to knock them out, or collect Wampa fruit. You also have the opportunity to complete side missions, so you can go ahead and complete the game 100% and get more life. But you won't be doing this by your lonesome, no. You'll be accompanied by a mask named Aku Aku, or a Booga Booga, since that's his catchphrase, or at least that's what I call him essentially. If you never played Crash Bandicoot or a Crash Bandicoot game, I have to say you're missing out. Definitely have to check him out. At number 7, we have Crash Bandicoot 3, Warp, selling around 7.13 million copies worldwide. So fast forward 2 games later, and spoilers by the way, Cortex's master plan of, taking over the world pretty much fails. At this point, Crash is taking a break from adventuring, and you're joined by your sister Coco, your good pal Aku Aku, and essentially a polar bear and other friends as well in the series. But Crash isn't quite ready to retire just because a greater evil has returned, Aku Aku's evil twin, Uka Uka. Aku Aku knows his twin brother is bad news and pretty much sets Crash and his friends to stop Uka Uka, and to make it even more worse, him and Cortex actually know each other. So pretty much they're chatting it up how to really rule the world, is as if they were giving each other the nuclear launch code. So probably not someone you want. Third installment definitely has a huge improvement from the first iteration with more weapons, more friends, more enemies, and just an overall dynamic levels of these stages. Definitely check it out. At number 6, we have Tekken 3 selling approximately 7.16 million copies worldwide. Taking the style that was found from the arcade, third installment definitely takes a punch at the PlayStation console. The storyline is set 16 years after the second King of Iron Fist tournament, with Jun Kazama living in Yakushima. Then there's a Tekken Force, an organization dedicated to the protection of Mashima. With the company's influence, Tekken Force is set to create world peace, but again, to make the story more interesting, there's always something that gets in the way. The story is a bit more in-depth than just that, but the core fighting system and mechanics are pretty much integrated in this game, with even improvements and graphical upgrades. This includes having better animations, having 15 new characters, and a more modern, fast and fluid gameplay with an exceptional soundtrack. At number 5, we have Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, selling approximately 7.58 million copies worldwide. This is like the third Crash game that made this list. The second installment in the series follows our big hero, Crash Bandicoot, fighting against Cortex on top of an airship. Essentially, Cortex falls to the ground, lands in a mine where he discovers large crystals where he could probably use for just, attacks, essentially. pretty bad stuff. Cortex, having absolutely no friends, abducts Crash and requires him to collect all the crystals that are scattered around the world, which takes the players in different dynamic levels. Throughout his quest, Crash meets up with his sister, Coco, who helps him try to figure out what exactly Cortex is up to. This pretty much ends up finding out that Cortex is up to no good, is not trying to have world peace. The gameplay is quite consistent, as it is still a 3D platformer game and has improvements from the first iteration, where it takes our heroes on different levels and stages. You are still accompanied by your friend Aku Aku collecting Wampa Fruit, spinning like a Tasmanian devil to defeat his enemies. And again, there's a reason why Crash sold a lot of copies, because it's an exceptional, amazing game. Definitely check it out. At number 4, we have Final Fantasy VIII selling approximately 7.86 million copies worldwide. It's not an official PlayStation list without at least one Final Fantasy game in it. Like every Final Fantasy, it is set in an unnamed fantasy world with moon and two suns, pretty much one for each eye. The planet you're in contains 5 major landmasses, with Esther, the largest, covering most of the eastern portion of the map. In this game, there are 6 main protagonists ranging from different characteristics, being a loner, an outspoken, passionate young woman, an instructor, and a martial art artist, among others. The gameplay consists of 3 main modes of play: the world map, a field map, and the battle screen. The characters travel across the world map in variation ways, including by foot, car, train, and airship. Since this is a role-playing game, just like any other Final Fantasy game, there are a lot of battles to complete. This is where fighters take turns to attack one another, where the weapons are also upgradable, and strategy definitely has a huge impact for the progression of this game. At number 3, we have Gran Turismo 2 selling approximately 9.49 million copies worldwide. Improving upon the first installment of the series, Gran Turismo 2 wanted to get as real as possible given the PlayStation limitations. It has the same fundamental gameplay found in the first game. Players have the option to choose from a variety of licensed cars. Here you will drive in different racetracks, maneuver around to ultimately get in first place to unlock more cars, upgrades, and tracks. The GT series also has a feature where players must earn specific driver license to continue the progression of the game. Win or purchase cars with in-game currency and earn trophies to brag to your friends via a pager, because it was that old. Compared to the first installment, Gran Turismo definitely has some noticeable vehicle dynamics when it came to the brakes, the cars, the tracks. Pretty much everything was pretty much an upgrade from the first game. Having the option to compete with your friend via split screen was always fun, trying to prove who was the best driver without having a license. And another thing that I really liked about the series in this game was the selection of the background music, so the soundtrack was definitely something that complemented these races when playing Gran Turismo. At number 2, we have Final Fantasy VII selling approximately 10 million copies worldwide. Essentially following the story of Cloud Strife, a mercenary who joins an eco-terrorist organization to stop world controlling from the mega corporation Shinra Electric Power Company, who attempts to drain the planet's life fluid as an energy source. He was reluctant at first, but Cloud ends up deciding to go ahead and join forces and fight against the terrorist group. Obviously, this game goes way more in depth than just that description, but basically it runs and plays like a Final Fantasy game with a lot of characters, a lot of exploration across the multiple discs found on the PlayStation 1, because it was like, I think, 4 or something. And there's going to be a lot of role-playing gameplay, so you'll definitely be invested a lot of hours in this game to discover more, to learn more about the character, and essentially kind of stop the whole eco-terrorist groups. And at number 1, we have, drumroll please, we have Gran Turismo selling approximately more than 11 million copies worldwide. Can you believe a driving simulator actually made the number 1 list? That's actually kind of unheard of. I don't think this has ever happened, will ever happen again. The gameplay of Gran Turismo is really about having beautiful graphics, standout licensed vehicles, driving physics simulation with the ability to fine-tune these cars. There are numerous tracks where the objective is to get first place or near that to get credits to continue your GT career, to unlock more racetracks and cars, and essentially give you more options to tune these cars. Playing with friends via co-op was something I really was addicted to when I first got this game, and trying to prove who was the better driver, again, without having a license at that time. This concludes the top 10 best-selling PlayStation 1 games of all time. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below your favorite PlayStation 1 game or any game in this list, or pretty much whatever you want. I'm not the boss here. Stay tuned for more uploads, and I'm trying to do 3 to 4 uploads a week. No promises, but I am trying to go for that goal. So I'll definitely catch you guys on the next one.